Here we go. The August Google Core algorithm update is now rolling out, and we have sites recovering from the brutal helpful content update from last September. And I have a strong AF theory on how they did it. It's still early days and we expect the traffic boners to continue to rise, but here's one for HouseFresh, another for That Fit Friend, and another for Guitar Chalk. What did they do? They all addressed a lot of issues, but there's one main thing that they did across the board. They, in a systematic fashion, removed low-performing pages from their sites. According to this Ahrefs graph, Guitar Chalk nuked 23% of their content. And here's a bunch of pages that used to exist on HouseFresh and FitFriend that used to exist before, but are dead pages now. Since last year, Google has been prioritizing a new ranking factor. When a website has a high percentage of pages with low or zero traffic, Google looks at that website as a red flag, a waste of resources. And it makes sense why they cranked up this ranking factor to maximum volume. Google is getting absolutely flooded with AI content. According to this article from EarthWeb, 7.5 million blog posts are published per day. They don't have the compute resources to individually go out and analyze them all with a fine-tooth algorithmic comb. They need cheap and efficient ways to detect spam. And so it's become that a high-level scan of does this website have a bunch of useless content or not is one of the ways they're doing it. In this video, you're going to learn how I discovered this hidden ranking factor, some recovery case studies, and more importantly, the steps you can take to recover or prevent this penalty from ruining your life. We'll get to that in a second, but real quick, I wanted to let you know that my SEO agency, The Search Initiative, has a $1,000 off discount going on till the end of the month. To get a free audit, head on over to thesearchinitiative.com and put your details into the form and we'll let you know what we can do for you. Now back to the video. Now, I'm gonna be dead honest here. When the infamous September 2023 Google Helpful Content Update hit, my sites were not spared. Here's 3 of them getting kicked in the nuts right on that fateful day. So as a business owner, I had to figure out what was wrong. We'd invested tons of money into these sites, our revenue was down, and we had a lot of employees to look after. And I wasn't the only one. This devastation happened industry-wide to websites that Google once loved and now discarded because of reasons. James Dooley of FatRank, financially one of the most successful SEO professionals I know, was in the same boat. James and I had way too many 2 a.m. brainstorm sessions trying to figure out how to recover our sites. We discussed things like brand search volume, traffic source diversity, monetization diversity, and then eventually started talking about the following. In the helpful content documentation, Google says this update introduces a new site-wide signal that we consider amongst many other signals for ranking web pages. Our systems automatically identify content that seems to have little value, low added value, or is otherwise not particularly helpful to those doing searches. The site-wide signal part sounded very familiar. When I had a site hit by HCU, every single page was affected, not just specific pages that Google might not like. Bear in mind, later Google released a helpful content FAQ in which they said, quote, "Our core ranking systems are primarily designed to work on the page level, using a variety of signals and systems to understand the helpfulness of individual pages." Okay, so there's a contradiction here. One document says it's a site-wide penalty, the other says it's on the page level. And at the time I recorded this video, both of these documents were live and written exactly as I quoted them. But literally anyone who's been affected by HCU will tell you exactly how it works. It's a site-wide signal. Your whole website got hit or it didn't. Fight me if you think otherwise. Okay, back to the first document. Any content, not just unhelpful content, on sites determined to have relatively high amounts of unhelpful content overall is less likely to perform well in search. For this reason, removing unhelpful content could help the rankings of your other content. Now we're on to something. Removing whatever Google thinks is unhelpful is literally the recommended road to recovery from Google's own mouth. By the way, here's a quick word from the sponsor of this video, Search Intelligence.
This campaign got us big links in websites such as Lifehacker, Wales Online, Daily Record, and about 20 other news websites. Let me show you how we've done it. We knew that people will be flying a lot this summer, and we knew that journalists will be writing about this topic a lot. So, on behalf of our client, we put together a nice guide about how to fall asleep on the plane. Then we use Muckrack to find journalists who write about travel. Then we put our advice in a nice email and send the tips to the journalists. Within just a few days, the links started landing, securing our client natural placements in really big websites, just like this, and this. This is a great example about how you can leverage seasonal trends to earn links to a website. Anticipate what journalists want to write about at all times and give them the stories that they need. They will reward you with some great, juicy links. I hope this is helpful.
Now back to the video. Since then, Dooley's come up with a process for identifying unhelpful content and figuring out what to do with it. I've also sat down with my agency, The Search Initiative, to come up with our own strategy. I'll share both of these strategies with you soon. All right, without further ado, let's get into Dooley's method for dealing with underperforming pages. After this, we'll discuss my method. First things first, just to prove the point that this stuff works, on the top you can see that daily clicks before applying this process were around the 200 per day level, while after the recovery turned over, now we're looking at about 900 per day. That's a 350% increase in traffic. James' tactic centers around content pruning, where you're identifying pages in a particular manner that Google doesn't like, and then getting rid of them in a particular manner as well. Here's his process. Open up Google Search Console for your website. In this example, I'm going to be walking you through it for dignitymarketing.com. Click on search results on the left-hand side. Now click on this date filter here at the top and set it to a last 12-month window. Now click export at the top and download this data in whatever format you like. Google Sheets is fine for me. All right, now let's focus on the pages tab at the bottom. Let's expand the first column so we can see the URLs, slap a filter on this data, and then sort column B from A to Z, lowest to highest. At the top, these are the pages on my site that have gotten the least clicks in the last 12 months. They're poop. You'll probably notice that there are a bunch of URLs with hashtags. GSC like a dum-dum includes table of content links, so let's get rid of them with this filter. Great, they're gone.
Very nice.
Now what you're gonna do is go through this list from top to bottom and mark a page in red if it meets one of the following criteria. Less than 30 clicks, like any of these guys up here. Red, 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 all of you get out of here. Or less than 100 clicks, but the topic of the page isn't in line with the main topic of your website. Like this, what is a podcast article? My website is about SEO, affiliate marketing, hosting, stuff like that. I literally have no idea why the hell we wrote an article on what is a podcast. Get your red ass out of here. Same with you, what is a webinar? Seriously, who wrote this stuff? Exceptions to this rule are pages that you want to keep live, like category pages, product pages, or checkout pages. All right, so what does James do with these pages? Most of the time he's doing a 301 redirect. Let's say I'm dealing with my what is a podcast dumbass page. I'll find the most relevant page to it, like my types of digital marketing, and use a redirection to tell Google, my podcast page doesn't exist anymore, send those visitors to my digital marketing page. Bonus, if I can use some of the content from the podcast page to enrich the digital marketing page, good. Move that over too. This is called content merging. To learn how to properly do a 301 redirect, watch my video called How I Break Google with Instant Traffic Overnight after you finish here. Link in the description. Okay, so why does this work? First, because you're saving Google money. You're reducing their crawl budget by removing low-value pages. Second, you're increasing your value of your internal links because they don't have to spread SEO love out to those deleted pages. And lastly, you're giving Google what it wants. A website with a higher proportion of quality content. Okay, let's compare this strategy to my agency, the Search Initiatives method. Here's one client site that we've done this for, 62.6 increase in sessions, and you can see the growth in the number of keywords on page 1. And here's a more ridiculous one with a 3,700% increase in traffic, though I will say that content pruning isn't the only thing we did for these guys. Okay, so the process is basically the same, except for a key difference in what we do with the pages once we identify them as needing to go. At the Search Initiative, we're a client agency. Most of the time, our clients hate the idea of redirecting a page, which is essentially the same as deleting it. Look, I get it. It's classic sunk cost fallacy where you're reluctant to abandon something because you invested heavily into it. So we add another option to the list. Content update. If we believe that we think we can recover the page by refreshing and improving the content, we will. Otherwise, 301 redirect is still on the menu, especially if the page has backlinks. And if it doesn't have backlinks, then we'll straight up delete it and let it 404. If you'd like us to take a look at your SEO, head on over to thesearchinitiative.com and use the form at the bottom to reach out. We'd be happy to take a look at your site and let you know what we can do for you. $1,000 off your first month until the end of the month.